welcome back.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Juice and Toya podcast, brought to you by One Body, Los Angeles. I am your co-host, Juice.
And I'm Toya, and this is Jakai.
Jakai is back.
He's sleeping.
So shh.
This is kind of what our new normal is for now.
Until we figure out, a system.
We're still getting it in. This is great. This is working for us.
Exactly. So we're going to make them a part of the episode as long as we need to. So,
exactly. Welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already checked out some of our previous episodes, make sure you go do that. Mm-hmm. We had a little bit of a break in between, so now we're happy to be back to some consistent episodes. Sure. But like you mentioned before, the episodes are not chronological. They are on so many various topics that can help you along your health and wellness journey. So make sure you go check out some of those previous episodes as well.
Yeah, we got a lot of different topics, whether it's nutrition, whether it's getting back into fitness, building your own program, a lot of different topics that we think you would enjoy, especially if you're new here. And if you are new to the podcast, we appreciate you for chiming and checking in with us, whether you're listening to us during a workout, in traffic, wherever you are. So any housekeeping today?
Housekeeping, yes, we do have some housekeeping. If you haven't already, make sure you go check out our One Body LA Lululemon merch. We have some great branded merch with Lululemon, and on that topic, we are in the process of revamping, kind of thinking of some new merch that we want to bring to you all as well. So look out for some new One Body LA Lululemon pieces coming soon.
We got Lulu on right now.
Yeah, this jacket is Lululemon. That's nice. This bodysuit is Lululemon.
This hoodie, these joggers.
We're gonna get some new pieces out and some new designs and things as well. So if you haven't already, go check out the pieces that we do have now, and if you want some of those pieces, get them now because we are in the process of bringing in some new.
We may even do a little fall sale too on some stuff. So be on the lookout for that. And also sign up for our newsletter and mailing list on onebodyla.com for any information that we got coming out. We have a lot of events that we want to do, a lot of different news that we want to share. So be on the lookout for stuff that we're sharing. So. Yep. Also, another housekeeping. We're dropping some content now. Woo! Applause. Insert applause here. We're dropping some new content. We're excited to get back into posting again. We could have, some weeks ago, but we wanted to do it in a way that we can be more consistent. We didn't want to be all choppy and just giving you a video here and there. So now we're at a point where we can be more consistent. And like we mentioned in the last episodes, go listen to that. But we have a lot of different content that we filmed pre-pregnancy or pre-baby that we're going to put out. So again, and don't be surprised if you still see Toya with the belly. I know some people are like, she's pregnant again. Or in the kettlebell workout that we just put out, again, that video was from like March, and Toya was like 3 months pregnant.
3 months,
Yeah, so a lot of people think she's already getting after it, so that's not the case. But if that doesn't bother you, check out some brand new content that we got coming. I think it's going to be really good. So with all that being said, let's get into the topic of the day, and the topic is near and dear to us just because this is where we currently are right now. So we thought it would be fitting and to just kind of talk about it, especially as we're ending the summer and nearing the fall. This is the fourth quarter of the year. So we want to give you some tips onto how to get back to training. Mm-hmm. This is something it's very cyclical. Like it's not something it's not year round. Everybody's just straight consistent with their workouts. There's always something that comes up. There's always a hiatus. There's always a vacation. There's always a break to where you're going to break up your programming. And this may not be the case for every person, but throughout the year, there are cycles to where you're hard on your fitness and then you're a little lenient and you're a little loose, right? So this is all about getting back into training, getting back into fitness, and giving you sort of a guide on how to do so. So if you ever find yourself falling back to a point where you need to just revamp or restart or just kind of start fresh, and this is a guide that you can come back to and follow to make sure you have all the tools that you need.
Yep, and this is a question we get asked a lot, whether it's from injury or sickness, like how do I get back into it? Or I couldn't work out for a couple weeks. Where do I start? Do I have to start all over? So we just want to give you some tips on things that have helped us, things that we think would make it a more smooth transition, because that's why we always preach, like, fitness is a lifestyle. It's not just, like he said, 24/7, 365, you're go, go, go. Mm-hmm. There's always a change. And you can definitely prioritize movement and wellness throughout any break, whether you have an injury or whether you're sick. There's always some type of movement that you'll be able to do, but it may not be your usual routine, and it may not even be the thing that you want to be working towards for a specific goal.
Yeah.
But that's where prioritizing wellness and movement comes in, because it can look different through different stages.
For sure.
So,
and for example, like her example, she just had a baby.
Yep.
So her getting back into fitness that's her motivation, right? She wants to get back to it. And my motivation is I just had a baby and I wasn't able to work out when I thought I could. And that was the discouraging thing for me, is I thought, all right, the baby's here. I can have little pockets here to still stay fit or whatever. And that wasn't the case. And obviously we had a unique situation to where I couldn't, but again, this just goes to show this happens to everybody. It happens to us. It happens to people all the time, to where they have to get back to it. It's not something that's consistent. And I know social media can kind of be, can make it seem like all these fitness professionals just have it all together year long. Like that's not the case. Like we have our cycles too, that we kind of get back into it. And that's the beauty of programming and the guide that we're about to give you now.
Yeah. So. And to his example, just because I couldn't work out or he couldn't work out the way that we wanted to doesn't mean we did nothing. You know? So that's where we were still able to prioritize some type of movement, whether it was while he's sleeping, we could get in a stretch. We can't go to the gym. It's not enough time to go to the gym or get in a full workout, but we could stretch. Or I could go on a walk every day. I wasn't allowed to do any strength training or do any high impact exercises, but I was able to walk. So I made sure to prioritize getting in a walk every single day, you know? So we'll kind of go into more examples and into deeper detail throughout this guide. So,
all right. So like I said, we're going to give you sort of a guide, because again, this happens all the time. You know, this happens to me at least 3 to 4 times a year round, where I have to get back into a program, or I took 2 or 3 weeks off to do something, whether it's go on vacation or whatnot, and get back into it. So always come back to this episode if you just sort of need this guide on how to get back into it efficiently and effectively. That's what this is all about. So What is the number one thing? And this might be a little repetitive for a lot of you who do listen to the podcast, but again, it's repetitive because it's real and it works. But what is the number one thing that you must do when you're getting back into training?
The first thing is create a goal.
A goal.
Right? So you have something to work towards. And creating a goal can be very broad and it can also be very short term. And I recommend both. So what I mean by that is your goal might be, I want to lose weight, right? That's very broad. How much weight do you want to lose? Are you trying to lose body fat? Are you trying to change your body composition? That's where we get a little bit more specific. But you have an overall goal of, I know I want to lose weight, right? Yes. So that gives you something to work towards in the long term. Then what you can do is break up that long-term goal into short-term pieces of how you're going to reach that, right? So if your long-term goal is to lose weight, maybe you could say in 6 weeks, I want to lose this much weight. Or it could even say in 3 months, I want to be able to fit into these jeans. So how can you break that 3 months up into little pieces, right? So breaking up that long-term goal into short-term pieces, but being very realistic with that goal too. So especially your long-term goal. For example, people might say, I want to lose 50 pounds. That takes you a long time to do, right? You're not going to lose that in 1 month. So that's what I mean by be realistic. It's not that losing 50 pounds is unrealistic. It's the time frame usually in which people want to reach that goal.
Correct. And I guess that's what I was going to get at too. How would you have someone approach losing weight if they don't necessarily know how much they can actually lose in a certain amount? Because some people might be super ambitious, because a lot of people also go off of the past. They might have lost 50 pounds over the course of 3 months. So what do you tell someone how do you tell someone to gauge what's realistic for them in a sense of weight? Whether you're trying to gain weight, lose weight, build muscle, whatever the case may be, how do you kind of...
I mean, I would honestly first say to just get started. Right? Just get started in your routine and not really have a number set on it yet. Because especially in the first few weeks, numbers are going to fluctuate. As you get into a routine, you might put on some water weight. You might lose some water weight, right? And that can be unrealistic in terms of like, oh, well, I lost so much weight at the beginning when it could have been more water, right? So at the beginning, your body is going to fluctuate just from having a new routine and getting used to that routine. When it comes to a goal, especially a fitness goal, whether you're trying to lose weight, put on muscle, regardless, your nutrition usually changes as well, right? So that makes a big difference at the beginning too. So there's so much. If you are new to strength training, you might hold on to a little water weight at the beginning. So there's a lot that fluctuates to where I would just say, just get started, get into a routine before you really put a specific number on it, and give yourself time to be consistent with that routine too. Then as you create that routine, you might start to see a pattern of what's realistic, because that also depends on you, your body, where you're at in your fitness goals. One person, it might be realistic for them to lose, a pound a week, whereas another person, it might be realistic to lose half a pound a week, right? So it really depends on where you are in your fitness journey and how much you have to lose, etc. And I don't just want to say a weight loss goal. This goes the same for, I want to be able to squat 200 pounds, right? A 1 rep max of 200. You're not going to be able to reach that in 1 month if your 1 rep max right now is 50 pounds, right?
Correct.
But someone whose 1 rep max is a little closer to 200, they might be closer to that goal. So it really just depends on you, where you're at in your fitness journey, how much you're able to dedicate to your journey. So this is why creating that goal is important, because you're able to sit down and say, what can I dedicate? How much time? That was a laugh, by the way, if you heard that. How much time do I have to dedicate this goal? Because if you're like, I can train 6 days a week, versus someone that's like, I can realistically get in 3 days a week.
Yeah.
That also makes a difference. So setting a goal and being realistic with the goal is my first recommendation when it goes to being or when it comes to getting back into it, because it's okay if you say, I only have 3 days a week.
That's totally
and
fine.
The other days I can maybe get in a walk. That's totally fine. If you say, I have 3 full days that I can commit to getting in a strength workout, that I can really follow a routine, I'd rather it be that than I'm setting a goal of working out 5 days a week and you only get in 3, but your plan is set to 5. Now you're missing 2 important days in your plan, right? If you can get in 3 and then all of a sudden you have 2 extra days that open up, get in some extra work. That's great, but at least you've got the 3 committed days in your plan.
Correct, man. You're so good.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say to that is, like, if you set that goal to 3 days a week and you get in that extra work, maybe you're able to reach your goal a little bit faster, but at least you have a plan written out for the slower plan, right? And that leads us into our next point. And
to that point, step 1 and step 2 kind of go hand in hand. Yeah. And step number 2, after you create your goal, is to start slow.
Yep.
And the reason I say start slow is I literally did this last week. I started my first week of just consistent movement. Like last week, like I'm getting into running. Running is something I've previously hated. So this is something I want to mentally kind of overcome and accomplish and honestly love. Like I have a love-hate relationship with running, but last week I told myself I want to run 5 to 6 days throughout the week, right? I made that my goal. It wasn't a program that I specifically wrote out. It was just like I'm planning movement, right? And that's what we mean by start slow. You don't have to start day 1 with a program all the time. Sometimes you just need some buffer time to just get your body acclimated to doing some movement. So let's say, 2 weeks from now, you want to start a program. Give yourself those couple of weeks to just lay out just a loose plan of things that you want to do or things that you like want to be active with. So whether you just want to go on a walk every day, give yourself a goal to go on a 20 to 30 minute walk every day. Or like I did, I went on at least a 3-mile run like every other day. And then some days I did a 1-mile run just to kind of just still be in the cycle of just doing my runs and getting some movement in. And then I did 2 bodyweight workouts and then 1 regular strength training workout. At the end of the week, it doesn't sound like a lot, especially for me, but I was sore. It was crazy. And I haven't really, again, done consistent movement over the course of 6 weeks, but I was sore.
Yep.
Right? So imagine if I just jumped into a program, jumped into the weights, right? And it probably wouldn't be sustainable. I'd probably burn out or be super sore at the end of the week to the point where I'm struggling to get through week 2, week 3, week 4, right? So step 1 and 2 go hand in hand. Start slow. And then honestly, you can make goals based off that slow start, right? Yep. Just kind of easing into it. So for example, let's say you just commit to just doing movement every day for a month, right? You just want to move. It doesn't matter how you move. It can be a dumbbell workout. It can be a kettlebell workout. It can be body weight, or it can just be going on a walk, right? let's say over the course of that month, you lose 5 pounds, right? Just 5 solid pounds over the course of that month. Then you can tell yourself like, all right, this month I'm really going to kick it into gear and do a program. I want to have a goal to lose 8 pounds this month, because you already knew that just being consistent with movement, you lost 5 pounds. So maybe this month I can give myself a realistic goal, because you've seen the progress that you made of just being consistent with some movement. Now, when you add structure to it, now when you add some more specifics to it, whether it's strength training or whatever your goal is, it is going to be a lot more, you're going to see a lot more results, just because now it's all calculated. Now it's not just random movement.
And you have a starting point too. Correct. And I want to preface, like, this is start slow. And I know people are going to hear start slow. You ran 5 to 6 days a week, but that didn't mean that he's going an hour every day, right? No. It could literally be a 5-minute run, a 10-minute run.
It was 3 miles, 2 miles, 10-minute run. Yep. I did a mile tempo run, and then I did another 2-mile run.
Yeah.
So for me,
that's slow in comparison to where he was before.
I was running 6-mile runs. I was doing 5-mile runs every other day, right?
And that kind of brings me back to the first point I made earlier of it depends on where you are at, right? That is slow for him. For someone else, that might mean I want to run 2 days this week, or I want to run a total of 3 miles, even if I have to break it up into every day calculating, right? So this is where it's a good example of it really depends on where you are at, because someone who runs marathons for a living, to them, starting slow might mean I want to run a marathon in 3 months, you know? Sure. So it really is very personal. For me specifically, I strength trained throughout my entire pregnancy, even up to birth. I was doing some type of strength training. But in 8 weeks, I have not been able to do strength training, right? And so for me, starting slow is I need to retrain my core, that mind-muscle connection. I need to get back into mobility work, because I can't just jump right back into loading these muscles that haven't even really moved more so than a walk in the last 8 weeks. So even though I strength trained for a full 10 months consistently, I mean, even prior to pregnancy, obviously, but throughout my pregnancy, I consistently strength trained, no problem. That doesn't mean that I can just jump right back to where I left off, because so much has changed. I had a whole child on my core. I had a C-section, so things were ripped apart. That doesn't mean, like, if you were sick and you didn't strength train for a few weeks, you don't have to start over like I do, right? So it really is very personal to why haven't you worked out and why are you getting back into it. Starting slow can be different for everyone. Just make sure it's realistic to where you are and why you're getting back into your journey.
And I want to circle back to a good point you made in regards to what I did the following this past week. So that was a good point you made. Starting slow also allowed me to feel where I was lacking also too as well. So with my runs, the first run I did, everything was hurting. Hips, knees, ankles, you know, and the first thing that immediately told me, and I did a warm-up, you know, I did my normal warm-up that I do, but that immediately told me that I have imbalances. I'm tight in certain areas. I need to work on some mobility. Again, if I would have just started day one with a whole strong session, now I'm just putting a lot of pressure and tension on something that needs fixing or something that needs some correction or just attention, to be honest with you, that I could put on throughout the day. So a lot of the things that I did on my slow week brought a lot of different things to the light that allows me to understand where I'm lacking, what my deficiencies are, right? Like my hamstrings right now, they're super tight. I sat more in these last 8 weeks since I haven't sat this much since I tore my Achilles and I was forced to sit. And even then I didn't want to sit as much. So sometimes going slow allows you to feel out what your deficiencies are. And then you can kind of circle back to step one and make that part of your goals too as well. Like mine is, I want to be a lot more mobile and a lot more flexible than I am now, because I know if I'm getting into running and putting a lot of strain on my joints over the course of mile after mile, I'm going to need to work on that mobility and flexibility. So that's a good tip as far as just really understanding what your body needs. You know
because in my standpoint, I'm breastfeeding, so my traps, my shoulders, like all of that is
I lowered
hunched
my trap
forward.
as soon as you said that.
Yes. for something for me that I've never had to really focus on as much is posture. I need to be, which I've always had to focus on that, but now it's more important for me, especially if I'm going to, my goal right now is to get back into strength training. If I'm going to be loading my upper body, I need to be keeping that mobile. I need to be making sure my posture is strong before I'm just throwing weights overhead or doing lat pull downs. Now I've got overactive traps trying to properly pull down or press overhead. So to his point too, things might change from what you previously were doing. Previously, I had to focus on mobility and my posture, but not near as much as I do now if I'm in this position, multiple hours throughout the day. So.
Yeah, and there's nothing worse. There's no bigger goal killer or routine killer than an injury.
Yeah.
That's we say all this to say we don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to do so. And that's the most for those of you out there who have been hurt or who have, you were on track, you were crushing it, you were consistent, you were seeing some progress, and then you get hurt. That's the hardest thing to go through, because it's out of your control. You can't do the things you want to, working towards your goals. So that's what we want to avoid with all of this is getting injured and making sure that you're, able to do the things that you want to do and work toward your goals. So again, number one, create a goal. Number two, start slow, ease into it. You don't have to fly into it unless you're trying to get fit in 8 weeks. I can understand. But even then that can still, sometimes less is more. Don't feel like you need to go super hard on day one to feel like you need to get those results in those 8 weeks. So step number 3, which I'm going to preface this by saying if you haven't already listened to our How to Create a Training Program podcast. It's our most popular podcast to date. And we go step by step on how you can personally create a training program for yourself. So with that being said, step number 3 is now that you have a goal, now that you've kind of started, you kind of got into it, you're doing some light activity. Once you're ready, and that's another thing I want to get to, make sure you're ready. You know what I mean? I want you to go into day one like, I'm committed. I'm ready to go. Let's get started. I don't want you going into it like, ooh, hope I finish. You know what I mean? Because you already have a bad mindset going into it.
That's where starting slow is.
That's why you got to start slow. And then you know where you are. And then now I wrote my program after I started slow because I know where I am now. So now you want to start writing a routine. And it doesn't have to be.
And that's step number 3.
That's step number 3 is create a routine, write a program, whatever the case may be. Something to where on any given day, you know what you're doing for the day. If you're saying you're working out 5 days out of these 7 days throughout the week, you know exactly what you're doing on those 5 days. If you're looking to lose weight, in general, you got to mix in some strength training. You don't have to do cardio, but that does help if you want to lose some weight. So you can say, look, I want to do 3 solid strength training days this week, and I want to do 2 days of some light cardio. And like to Toya's point, doesn't have to be for an hour. Doesn't have to be an hour and a half of just, doing too much. You can do 30, just commit to 30 minutes or even 20 minutes. If you only have 20 minutes throughout the day, those 20 minutes need to be efficient to where you can get your work in and you can get out and you can check it off the list when you're done for the day. So it's all about creating a routine, creating a schedule, because at the end of the day, if you have something already written out for you, it just makes the process of just reaching your goals a whole lot easier. And it's going to save you the disappointment at the end too, trust me.
Yeah, and it also keeps you prepared, especially in times of just our example now. We used to be able to just go work out, take as much time as we need for the most part. But now it's, okay, I have a designated time, right? If I'm like, okay, I'm going to work out, I've got 45 minutes before he needs to eat, or I've got, can you take him for an hour and I'll give you an hour. And in that hour, you got to work out, shower, so now
warm up.
If you don't have as much free time as you usually do, which most people, if you're parents, if you're working out on your lunch break, if you have a set amount of time to work out, it eliminates that, what am I doing today, right? So how many times have you gone to the gym, you don't have a workout written out, you don't have a routine, and it takes you a few minutes of like, okay, let me just write something out, or what am I doing today? That takes up some time, right? But also it gives you structure and routine so that if you are starting slow, you know what you've done and you can kind of take that into the next week or the week after. And as you're reaching this long-term goal of being able to see what's working for you and see, especially like I said, if you're starting slow, you want to have an idea of what can I realistically do? So creating a routine also gives you like a map and just an outline of what you are going to do and what you've been doing, so you have something to look back on. So let's say you're not reaching your goal. You can look back at what have I done and what do I need to change to be able to accomplish this goal.
For sure. And I want to also kind of specifically say, I think there's a difference between having a routine and a program. And the best analogy I can kind of use for this is like a routine is basically having like everything you need to just get started and get going. A program is like everything you need plus the weights that you're using, the sets and reps that you'll be doing, right?
Very specific.
Very specific. So think of a routine like let's say you're baking a cake. You have all the ingredients, right? You have everything you need, but you don't necessarily know what to preheat the oven to. You don't know how much oil to use or how much eggs, right? You just you got everything you need. So you should be, you can probably ballpark it and make the cake.
It's kind of what you did last week of just a routine was I run every day.
I want to run every day.
Not very specific on the cadence, the time, the tempo, the miles.
Exactly.
Do you want to stay under a certain time period?
And I said I wanted to do 3 sort of strength training workouts. I didn't say I wanted to do dumbbell or kettlebell. I just, in the moment, I was like, look, I want to do some body weight today. And it was also how I felt too. Like I wanted to do body weight. Oh, today I'll do dumbbell. Oh, today we dropped a new kettlebell workout. I want to do that, right? So that's more of a routine. You know what you want to do. You just don't necessarily have specifics. So like you can write, if you need more of a loose routine, maybe you can say, look, I'm going to do a dumbbell workout today. And then you can go on our YouTube channel, find a dumbbell workout, right? Whereas if you have a program, you know exactly what dumbbell workout you're doing. You know exactly what dumbbells you'll be using throughout the workout, right? So it's kind of a little bit more calculated. And with that, of course, having a program is going to give you a lot better results because you can, again, track it. And we can get into that specifics of a training program. But you can track things and make sure that you have some progressive overload to be able to see some results. But with a routine, again, still, it's at the end of the day, you're being consistent with something, right? It's not very specific, but you have something on the menu for you to kind of accomplish today. So the only reason I wouldn't necessarily do a routine is if you're going to the gym. Now, if you're going to the gym, you need some sort of structure. Because it's going to the gym it's a lot of different things. You can go to a gym and if your machine's taken, then what are you going to do, right? Or, it just, a lot of different things can just kind of, you can get distracted with if you're just going to the gym. So I would just say, like, especially if you're working out from home, you can have a little bit more of a routine. It doesn't have to be super strict. And then when you're ready for a strict program or routine, you can kind of create that as well. So I just wanted to kind of specify for people what the difference is. Because I know a lot of people hear routine, they hear program, like what's the difference between those two? So,
and that kind of brings us to the next point. If you are following a program or you have a routine going, be adaptable within that specifically a program. And just kind of, he just said, if you go to the gym and your machine's taken, then what, right? So that's where having a program is very important, and also being adaptable in that program, because if your machine is taken, you can take a look at your program and say, I'm not going to be able to get this leg day done today. Let me switch it with an upper body day because I need mostly free weights for that. But with my leg day, I need a squat rack. The squat rack is taken. The gym is packed. I'm not going to be able to get that done today. Having a program allows you to take a look at it and say, what can I do instead? You can kind of flip-flop the days, right?
Yeah.
But also, it allows you to be adaptable in the sense of, this is too difficult. I kind of overthought what I could do. I'm not going to be able to get in 5 strength days. Let me take out a strength day and maybe combine another day and make it full body.
Smart.
Or, right, you're able to take a look at what you have set out within that program. Let's say it's a 6-week program and you're on week 2 and it's already too hard.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm not going to be able, because the program usually you're progressively overloading. It's progressively getting more difficult. If you're already, fighting for your life in week 2, maybe it's too difficult, right? Maybe we need to tone it down a little bit. And this is where you can say, that this doesn't mean start all over, right? You can take a look at your program and say, I was over aggressive, and I'm going to be completely honest.
I do it all the time.
It's probably going to be me after I get cleared to strength train. We do it all the time where you're just very ambitious, and you think like, I'm excited. I want to get back into it. I'm going to do all of this, this, and this. Yeah. Then week 2 hits, and you're like,
shoot, not even. You wake up from those first couple workouts.
Yes. So we do it. I know I'm telling you not to do it, and I'm going to end up doing it next week. I'm telling you. So this is where writing out a 6-week program or however many weeks is important, because then you can take a look and say, all right, I'm not going to sustain this for 6 weeks. Let me repeat week 1. Yeah. Let me adjust weeks 3 through 6, and let me just kind of take a step back. Correct. But you're able to do that because now you have that program. So now once you complete the 6 weeks, then you can say, all right, I got through that. This is how I feel. Where can I make adjustments? How can I make it more difficult? How Correct. Can I advance, etc. So being able to be adaptable is important because it's not always going to go as planned.
No.
Within that 6 weeks or however many weeks, you might get sick. There might be a day where I plan to do, a full workout, or even a week where I plan to get in certain workouts, and Jakai might get sick, where I'm not able to dedicate as much time like I thought to the gym, where maybe he gets sick and he's not able to watch the baby to where I can go do my workouts like I had planned. So it's always important to be adaptable to where you can make changes on the go as needed, to where it might be an example like I plan to go to the gym, but now I have to do the workout at home. Yeah. You don't have that same equipment. How can you make changes? You can still move. You can still work out. You can still get in a strength workout. You just don't have a squat rack. So now your leg day might change a little bit.
Correct. And I think adaptability is one of the most important keys to this list, just because, like she said, it's always going to be something. There's rarely been a time where my program went exactly how it was written out. Rarely. There's always something I had to change, always something I had to adjust. But again, like we mentioned before, a program just gives you structure. It gives you just something to follow, and then you can make those adjustments to that program as needed. And then to this point as well, too, give yourself some grace.
Absolutely.
Be nice to yourself. Yeah. And don't be discouraged. Like, I know we're super ambitious and we want to do this and want to do that, but sometimes your body has other plans. Yeah. Sometimes your body's like, I know what your brain says, but we're not capable of that. Yeah. When I went on that first run, I was like, first of all, it was ambitious for me to even pick 3 miles for my first run in 8 weeks, to be honest with you. Yeah. But sometimes when I have something in my head, I'm going to do it regardless how slow it is, how fast it is. So quickly, I found out that like my body needs some work. I need to do some more stretching. I need to do some mobility work. And I have a long way to go if my goal is to run a marathon one day. Like, I have a long journey ahead of me, but that's okay, because that's the beauty of just getting started. I think once you I think after 2 weeks, you kind of lose that like sort of feeling of discouragement. After 2 weeks, once you kind of get into it, that's when you start to like feel some sort of progress, really, to the point where you're like, whatever, like I'm on the road now, let's keep it going. You know what I mean? So give yourself some grace. Like, don't feel like just because you can't do this or something that you were able to do maybe, let's say 3 or 4 months ago, you're not able to do now. Exactly. The body can adapt really quick. Like, especially if it was something that you were doing before, it might take you less time to get to that point now than it did before, when you were trying to reach that original goal. Your body can adapt really quick, and your muscle memory can come back quick. Another key point, I haven't played golf. Yeah. I haven't played golf in 2 months. And I went to the range, I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, and I was shanking balls right and left. Was that discouraging? Yes. It was very discouraging, because I spent what felt like a whole year really working on my game and getting good. And I got to the point where I was shooting in the 80s and I was getting really good, and it was discouraging. But I told myself, like, of course, you take 8 weeks off from anything, you're not going to be as good. If I was playing video games for my whole life and I stopped playing for 8 weeks, of course I'm going to be rusty, right? So give yourself some grace and understand that, like, you're not going to be as good as you were when you were very consistent. So allow yourself to get to that point, allow yourself to be consistent and committed to it, and then you'll be good to go. And it might, again, in a lot of cases, at least for me, and I know for Toya too, a lot of cases, it comes back faster than what it originally took you to get there.
Right, so, exactly. And then our next point is to be self-sufficient. So what we mean by that is with your motivation, with your consistency, with your reasoning for reaching whatever goal it is you have set out for yourself, being self-sufficient in a sense of not relying on other people to reach your goals. So, for example, let's say you have an accountability partner, right? Someone that meets you at the gym, you guys are getting your workout in together. Let's say your partner doesn't show up or isn't going today. That doesn't mean you don't get in your workout too, right? So relying on external factors, whether it's an accountability partner, whether it's, oh, I rely on motivation. You're not going to be motivated every day.
I'm not motivated right now
at all,
and I need
right?
to work out today.
Yeah. So there are going to be things that you might rely on to get you through your workout. If you don't have those things, you need to be able to be self-sufficient, be adaptable to still get in your workout, still stay consistent within your routine or your program, because there are going to be times where that motivation's not there, you're tired, your accountability partner is not there, you just aren't feeling it today.
Yeah.
That's where you have to dig deep and really just mind over matter.
Correct.
Push through. Now, there's a difference between I'm sick or I really don't feel good today or I'm so tired I'll injure myself. That's different, right? But really on those days where you're just like, I'm lazy, if you are committed to the routine, you're committed to reaching this goal, those are days that you need to push through and stick to the plan, be self-sufficient, rely on yourself, and get that workout done.
For sure. And for me, and we all have our different motivations, and that's where you kind of have to find what motivates you, find what gets you going, find what gets you started. For some people, that's supplemental. For some people that, like me, I need music. Like in the mornings when I'm getting started and I just don't feel like it, I'm not into it. The moment I put my headphones in and some music come on, it kind of just loosens me up.
Yep.
And I'm like, you know what? Let's get into it. Let's go. Like I like music for me just kind of gets my blood flowing and gets me into the mode of working out.
Because going.
Exactly. Because I think what music does to me personally, I think I don't listen to music just like throughout the day. You know what I mean? Like it's not something that I do all day, every day. So when music comes on, automatically it's like, oh, okay, it's time to work out. When I have my headphones in, it's like, it's time to work out, right? It kind of puts you into a mindset sometimes, and it breaks you out of a little funk too as well. Like you'd be surprised, like it gives you energy, to be honest with you sometimes. So like you kind of have to find, what is that one thing that kind of gives you energy? Is it a podcast? Is it, I don't know, playing with your kids right before? Like you look at, like I looked at Jakai earlier this morning. I was like, wow, like, it gave me some motivation. Like I want to run for him today. Like I don't feel like it, but I want to run for him. Like find the different things that kind of get you going, get you motivated. And, for some people that's dry scooping some pre-workout.
Yep. I had a client that her workout time was the time she watched her shows. So if working out for most people, that's their 30 minutes or hour that they have to themselves during the day, right? And she looked forward to, no one bothered her during that time because they knew it was her workout time. And that's where she caught up on her shows. She didn't get to watch those shows throughout the day because of kids, because of your partner doesn't like the shows, right? So that was her one time to catch up on shows. And for someone like me, like Grey's Anatomy, for example, he can't stand it, but I love Grey's Anatomy. So I know if I want to watch that, it's probably going to be at a time by myself, because when we're together, we rarely get to watch anything together. So during that time, obviously it needs to be something we both want to watch. But if I want to watch Grey's Anatomy, it's got to be a time where I'm by myself. And if that only time is my workout time, I look forward to my workout, maybe not for the workout, but because of what I get to do in that time, which is watch my show or catch up on music that he may not want to listen to.
Correct.
So it may not be the workout itself that's motivating you. It might be what you're doing during that time that you have to work out that gets you excited to make it to your workout.
For sure. So again, you have to be self-sufficient, when it comes to motivation. Again, you can have your things in place. Like you can have like if there's a podcast you listen to every weekend, what if they decide to take a break?
Yep.
Are you going to take a break?
Yep.
Or are you going to keep going? Right.
And it might not be enough to say my motivation is I want to lose 20 pounds, because of course we all want to reach that goal, right? We all want to get to our goal, but just saying the goal might not be motivation enough on those days where you really have to dig deep. You might have to really find that spark that gets
switch.
You to exactly.
Yeah.
So and then another point is to utilize resources when needed. So utilizing resources doesn't mean you're not self-sufficient. So for example, I'm going to start pelvic floor PT tomorrow. That is something, that's a resource that's going to help me reach my long-term goal, which is to get back into consistent strength training, to be strong, to build back my muscles, specifically glutes. Using that resource is going to help me, because she's going to help me to find my imbalances, find my weaknesses, specifically in my core and pelvic floor, which is extremely important when it comes to strength training.
Yeah.
If I just jump back into strength training, especially how I was before, I'm going to hurt myself to where long term, not having a strong pelvic floor or injuring my pelvic floor, injuring my core, that's going to lead to injuries later that will hinder me from strength training.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to be as strong. I might have some injuries that really take me out, that require taking a break from strength training, which is the exact opposite of what I'm trying to reach. So using resources, whether that's a personal trainer, whether you're using our app to follow a program because you don't want to write your own program. These are things that can help you within your long-term goal, and not that doesn't mean you're not self-sufficient, right? Using resources, asking for help, those are things that everyone can benefit from.
Yeah, for sure. And resources can go a long ways. Like where there's just, I always encourage people too, if you're following a program, I would encourage people to get in just to learn more about the body. Like learn what you're actually doing. Like don't just like go through the motions or just, if you see one of our workouts online, you follow workouts, understand why you're doing a bent over row or a kettlebell goblet squat, right? Like like we mentioned before, all the workouts we put out, they're on just some random movements. Like it's a science to what we put out there. It's a science to how we create these workouts. So just really maybe even invest in just understanding more about the body. I've encouraged some of my clients to even, get their certification.
We've had multiple people say they've gotten their CPT.
I highly recommend just the average person to just do a personal training certification, because this is so much that you can learn about just how to get into strength training, learn more about the body, the anatomy of a body, to where it helps you understand why you're doing certain things, what muscles you're strengthening. Sometimes it's when you're aimlessly following things, sometimes it may be detrimental. Like let's say you were just aimlessly following a workout and you're trying to, let's just say you just want to be skinny. And now you're doing these heavy lifting workouts and now you're making your legs bigger, right? You're doing something like the opposite of what you're trying to accomplish because you really don't know what it is you're getting yourself into. You just see workout, I'm just going to follow this. So really just understand, whether you're following a certification or you're just reading more about the body, just learn more about the body, and then it'll help you just get through the process a lot easier too. So a perfect example of that is Toya. She was doing her pre-postnatal certification while she was pregnant. It was perfect because everything that she was going throughout the process, she was reading about. So everything aligned, everything kind of matched up, and it made sense to her. And it allowed, I don't want to speak for you, but I think it allowed you to understand what you were trying to comprehend a lot better.
Because it made sense to where when I would feel things through my workouts, it wasn't just like, oh, what's going on? I knew what was going on. I'd learned about the different changes in your blood volume, being more mobile, all of the different things that happen throughout the pregnancy. I learned about them. So then as I was working out and those things were happening, I understood how to modify my program because I knew what was going on.
Yeah. So you're learning and you're applying what you're actually doing. So you might learn something throughout that CBT that you didn't know before. Now you're applying it to your program, and it can make a world of difference as to what you're doing. Or you might even find out, wow, I've been doing this all wrong my entire life. You know what I mean? So, and there's always continuous research coming out. Things that we were doing 10, 15 years ago is not recommended now, you know what I mean, for a lot of people. And this is something that we as trainers have to keep up with too as well, because we go off the information that we've learned, and if science changes and if things change, research changes, then we have to change with it as well. So that's a big key, especially as far as resources, that I think a lot of people should sort of get into, is just really learning what you're actually doing when you go work out, what you're actually doing when you go out for a run or do some type of strength training workout. You know what I mean? So because it just makes the process of what you're going through a lot easier, and it makes you understand what you're actually doing for yourself. So, so that's the sixth.
Ask questions. Seek out resources.
And
Make
don't
it easier for yourself.
And don't be scared to ask too, especially us. If you're on the Juice and Toya app, shameless plug. If you have any questions, we're here for you. Like anything. Don't ever feel stupid for asking us a question, because it's probably something that we felt stupid before a long time ago, and we finally figured out. We had to learn the same way you did. You know what I mean? So if you have any questions, and that's another thing, if you're not on the Juice and Toya app, that's a great feature that a lot of people utilize on a daily basis. Yes, you're messaging us We get back to you as soon as we can. But we get a lot of people asking us simple questions, whether it's about nutrition, whether it's about what weight, if you feel like you want to go up on weights, we give people advice about that too as well. So definitely utilize that resource in having us. I mean, $15 a month, and you can message us with whatever questions. You have a trainer that you can text. I mean,
on demand.
That's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. So check it out if you haven't already. Go on the Juice and Toya app, juiceandtoya.app to get signed up. And you'll be good to go. First week is free. Your first week is free. You can try it out. And if you have any questions on your first week, messages.
Ask us questions.
Exactly. Yeah. So let's get to the last and final step of this guide, and that is, it sounds simple, but you gotta find a way to make it fun.
Make it as fun as possible. Yeah.
Like if you're looking at this podcast right now, or if you've been following us for a while, I think you can probably agree that to a certain extent, like you understand that we like to have fun with it. Yep. We try to make our workouts inviting. We try to make them. We want to make you feel like you had it. Not only did you get in a good workout, a good sweat, you had a good time in the process. Like there's a lot of different elements to our workouts, whether it's the music, whether it's just our vibes during the workout. And sometimes when we're filming the workout, we're not necessarily in the best mood or feeling the greatest too as well. But we understand that the people watching are. And that's when we flip a switch of motivation, right? See how I flipped it? See how I did that? That's when we flip a switch to help us, just motivate us, like all of you. We know we have to be there for all of you. So even in the worst of times, we're still finding ways to make it fun and enjoyable. And then it could even go down to the little graphics we do at the end of the workout where you see us, bowling, fishing, driving a car, the crazy stuff. Like we try to make fitness as fun as possible, because again, like Toya mentioned, there are going to be days where it's going to be hard. I'm telling you right now, if you're getting into a program, it's going to be hard. It's not going to be a day where you're just going to be motivated and ready to go every day. And if that's you, perfect. But for the average person, it's not going to be like that. So you have to find different ways to make each day, each moment fun. So for me, for example, it might not be every single day you're doing something to make it fun, but I know at the end of the week, something I really want to do is play golf. Mm-hmm. That's something that it's still activity. We walk a lot. You walk a whole 18-hole course, but it's such a social sport. It's fun for me. It's great for me mentally, and it's something that gives me to be motivated for at the end of the week. So if I know I get through all my workouts, I have that to look forward to, and it makes that even more fun. You know what I mean? And you can find fun within the things that you're doing. Maybe do a little fun challenge if you're working out with someone. Maybe do some fun challenge at the end of each workout to make it fun, or do a little wager bit. I don't know. Find ways to make it enjoyable, and it makes the program a lot more easier to follow, and it's going to make your results a lot better too.
That doesn't mean that some of the workouts towards your goal might not be enjoyable. There might be some things that you have to do that you may not necessarily love, but they are important for your goals. So for example, a lot of people don't like squats or lunges. That movement pattern is very important. You're gonna have to do some type of knee dominant movement, but it's important for your goals, right? And you just kind of got to dig deep and remember why you're doing it. But that doesn't mean that you can't incorporate other workouts into your routine or plan other activities into your routine. It doesn't have to just be, oh, I'm trying to build muscle, so all I can do is strength train, right? And a great example of this is, especially if you mostly do...
Oh, I'm sorry, Daddy. It's okay.
He's asleep. He's dreaming. But especially if you mostly do our follow-along workouts, like he said, those are usually very fun. We try to make them high energy and a fun workout. So when people come to the app and they switch to circuit training, they don't usually find it as enjoyable because you're used to the music, you're used to our energy, watching us, the timer, like all of these things. And now you're telling me I got to bring my own energy to the workout, right? Yeah. However, you will probably more than likely see better results from the circuit training workout. That doesn't mean stop doing the follow-alongs, right? You can do the circuit training workout, follow this routine, follow this program, and incorporate the follow-along workouts because those are things that you find fun, right? So still following a program, incorporating the things that you need to incorporate for your goals, but making sure that throughout the week, at some point you're still doing things that you find fun and enjoyable, because that's really important too.
For sure. So always factor that into your routine if you can. So if you know you're committing to 3 days a week and you have a few extra couple days where you want to do something fun,
Swimming,
go play golf,
golfing,
go swim, go walk,
biking, anything.
Yeah, do whatever,
Playing with your kids, whatever it is, some type of activity and movement. Because that's important, not just obviously for your movement goals, but mental health as well. Because if every day your movement is something you dread, that's also not healthy, but it's going to get to a point where you're not going to do it. You're going to dread it, and then you're going to be like, I'm not doing this today. And that first skipped workout turns into the second and third. And then all of a sudden you're not active anymore, when you could still be active and enjoying it while also reaching your goals.
And my goal for a lot of people too, especially like people who are just getting started with fitness, a lot of times training is a sacrifice, and training is hard, and training is something that you don't want to do, which is it's fine. It's realistic. That's how a lot of people see it. But when you're like us and you've been training, which seems like your whole life, you've understood the benefits of it. You understood like what you need to do to feel good, what you need to do to look good. It becomes something that you can't live without. And that's what I want for a lot of people to look at training. Like, this is something that, you should almost be sad if you can't work out. You know what I mean? Even if it's a day where you don't want to work out, like for me, when I go on a run in the morning, it's the most calming, relaxing thing. Like, LA is such a big, busy city. And, whenever, I get to go on those runs in the morning, like, it's nobody on the road, nobody on the streets, nobody's honking at each other, yelling at each other. You know what I mean? It's just quiet where I can be me and my music, or sometimes one time I just didn't have headphones. I didn't charge them. And I went on a run, and it was so weird, but it was almost so refreshing and so relaxing. It was just good for me mentally. So we want you to build a routine up to a point where you almost feel like you can't live without training. You can't live without just moving your body in a certain way and having fun that way too. So again, try to find ways to make training fun and implement different things that you enjoy doing within your routine. And that just makes movement. That's why another point I want to make. Movement is more important than anything, right? Yes. Don't feel like you have to do strength training as movement. Don't feel like you have to go on a 7-mile run as movement. If, doing abs on the floor in your living room is something that you want to do, it's going to contribute to that goal. Don't think it's not enough. Movement will add up, and movement will get you to your goal one way or another. So that's just what I wanted to add there. Yeah. But so with that being said, we're going to run it back a little bit just so you didn't if you didn't understand. So number one, create a goal. It's the most important thing, whether you're trying to start a program or just get into training in general. Always start with a goal. Number two, start slow. Don't feel like you have to start with that program today or tomorrow. Ease into it. Give yourself 2 weeks or so, or maybe even just 1 week like I did, to just do some light activity to get your body acclimated. Preheat is what I would call it. Preheat your body real quick before you throw it in the oven, and then you'll be good to go. Number three, create a routine, create a program, something that when you show up every day, you know exactly what you're doing. And might I add, also apply this to your nutrition as well, because this is something that we mess up with too as well. When we don't have our nutrition plan throughout the week, we don't know what we're eating. We don't know what we're eating today. And that's a problem. But Toya knows. Yeah. Okay, so Toya knows, as long as one of us knows. As long as somebody in your household knows what's going on. But again, it's important to have a routine and have some structure. Number four, be adaptable. This is a big one. Always make sure that you're ready for whatever. Every day is not going to go as planned, so make sure that you have a safety net in place to where if something, let's say your machine is taken at the gym, you can do a different modality. If you don't have dumbbells, use a barbell, use a kettlebell, right? There's no excuse, really to get around it. Or like Toya mentioned, if all your machines for your legs are taken, switch it to that upper body day you were going to do 2 days from then, right? And then you can kind of make that switch too as well. So be adaptable and give yourself some grace, or don't be discouraged, right? We're all starting somewhere, right? So give yourself some grace as far as where you're getting started and where you're at. Number five, be self-sufficient, right? You're not going to be motivated every day. You're not going to have it all together, but have some tools in place to make sure that you have the motivation you need to get through that day. Number six, use your resources. Ask a trainer if you need to. Do some research. Whatever resources you have that can make your program easier, that can make your routine a lot better, a lot more efficient, then use those resources as much as possible. And last but not least, have fun with it. Yep. And what we want to leave you with real quick is some quick pro tips. Beyond this guide that can really, some things that are near and dear to us that we use that we think can be very helpful. So for me, real quick, having mental preparation, right? If you have mental preparation before you get into what you're doing. So for example, if you know you want to work out starting this week, but you haven't really just thought about it, the likelihood of you doing that workout the next day is not going to happen, right? Yep. But if the day before you're like, all right, tomorrow I'm going to get my workout in, I'm going to go eat, you know what I mean? If you kind of plan out today and make it a part of your day, you're less likely to skip that workout. You're more likely to be more motivated to get it done. So always have some sort of mental preparation of what you're getting yourself into, the workouts you're getting yourself into, or whatever the case may be.
Yep. A pro tip that I would give is make sure that your nutrition is just as big of a part of your program as your movement is. Yes. So kind of going back to where I said, like, if you have a program and you're not reaching your goal, you can take a look back at that program and say, all right, what can I change? What didn't work? While doing that, make sure that your nutrition was a part of that, because a lot of times majority of the time, it's not really the exercise or the movement that keeps people from reaching their goals. It's usually somewhere in the nutrition. And for a lot of people, showing up to do the workout is the easy part, right? But that is the hard part. You know, exercise can be difficult sometimes. You know, reaching your goals physically can be very difficult. So if you're doing that hard job, that hard task of showing up for your body physically each day, make sure that the nutrition matches, right? It's on point. So regardless of what your goal is, your nutrition is going to play a big part. Even if you're not trying to lose weight or build muscle, you're just trying to be consistent in your workouts, your nutrition is still important, because that's what fuels your body to do that movement. So if you're not getting in the proper nutrients, you're not hydrated properly, you're not getting in enough protein to recover, that's still going to affect your consistency regardless of what your goal is. So when your nutrition is on point, that's going to just help your program tremendously regardless of what your goal is.
For sure. And also use it as a method of sort of measuring how you perform during that workout too as well. So like today, I actually ran pretty good today. I thought I would feel a lot worse than I did because, you know, we had some bar food yesterday and I just felt like it wasn't the most fueling thing I could have ate the day before my run, but I felt pretty good. But on days where I don't feel good, sometimes it allows you to kind of make that assessment of how your workout went. So if you felt like your workout was super sluggish, ask yourself, was my nutrition on point today? Or was it on point yesterday? Am I hydrated properly? Did I get a good enough sleep, right? You can kind of ask those questions because those usually feed into how well you performed. And I've mentioned this before in previous podcasts, like if you're following a program, especially, every workout matters. Like every workout needs to be as efficient as possible. If you're just lollygagging through each workout, then of course your results, you might have been consistent, but you didn't really do anything. You wasn't really efficient during those workouts, right? So really, again, use those tools like your nutrition, especially, to assess how well you're performing. And sometimes like today, maybe it might even be helpful to write down how you felt during that day, because you can use that as data. It's like, all right, I felt bad today, but I also didn't eat well yesterday, or didn't we eat well this morning? So that's probably why. And I also didn't sleep. And then again, assess how you feel throughout the weekend. If there's a day you felt really good, try to understand what you did to feel that way, because you want to try to do that every day to keep yourself consistent. So the last pro tip.
The last one is one that I love, and this may not be for everyone, but for me, having new gear or new workout clothes is something that can be very motivating because it gets you excited, specifically new shoes. A new pair of running shoes, a new pair of training shoes. Yeah. I just get excited to like go test them out, right? I want to see. There was one time I got a new pair of training shoes and I'm like, I definitely squatted heavier. It was because of the shoes, right? So sometimes it makes you excited to take them out for a run. It gets you excited to try them out. And same thing with the new workout fit. This doesn't mean that you have to be in a matching set to get in a good workout, but sometimes knowing you have like a new outfit that you're excited to wear and look cute in gets you excited to get in your workout. So sometimes your gear can be a little bit of a motivator or just exciting factor. And for us, we live in active wear. Like I could wear this to work out, but I'm also wearing it with the jacket in the podcast, right?
We ready to go.
So it's for us, our workout gear is important because it's what we're in 24/7, right? someone that works in an office and is in suits or dresses all day long, for you, your important clothing might be more of that type of formal wear, to where the workout gear isn't as important for you, and that's totally fine, but can also be a factor where you're excited to get out of that formal wear. You want to feel good in your workout gear. So sometimes your accessories to your workout can be a exciting, motivating factor as well.
For sure. And it changes the game too, especially if you're someone who just wears regular, shoes. If you get into the more, and there's something, let us know if there's something you want us to get into, or just like the importance of different types of shoes and how helpful they can be during your workout. So like if you're just wearing some regular, running shoes that they're just comfortable to you, and then you switch to some actual trainers, sometimes you can feel like, oh wow, I feel like stronger in these, or I feel stable in these, right? So sometimes your gear can be something that can kind of keep you going too, and keep you motivated as well. So with all that being said, that wraps up the episode today. Hopefully you learned a lot, but consider this your training guide as to how to get back into things. So if you need to listen to this at the top of the new year to get yourself going, if you just needed this right now, hopefully these tips gave you just sort of a guide on how you can get started and how you can keep going at the end of the day too. And then understand too, training comes in cycles, right? You may be consistent for 6 months and then fall off for a month for a number of reasons, and that's okay. That's why we're giving you this guide to understand how to get back into it. And again, that doesn't always mean that you starting from square one or you starting from scratch. Sometimes you just, training is like, like stocks, right? They go up, they go down, but as long as you're trending in a good direction, you're good to go. So with all that being said, we hope you enjoyed it, but since I'm a dad right now, I'm gonna drop some quick dad jokes.
End it with the dad jokes.
I'm gonna end it with the dad jokes. It's only right. I know you hate these.
He said no, please.
I know you hate these, but we gotta do it. The people want to hear it. Do you have one?
Yes, I do.
Oh, Toya got one.
I got one today.
Mama's
I wrote it down so that I wouldn't mess it up. Okay. Excuse me. What did the duck say when it bought chapstick?
What did the ducks say when it bought chapstick?
Mm-hmm.
My lips are quacked.
Oh, no, but that's a good one. That's not the answer, but that could be the answer. So I'm going to give you that one.
Okay.
My lips are quacked. That's a good one. No, he said, put it on my bill. But you see how yours could have worked too.
Okay.
Your answer could have worked too.
I just said quacked, and I was like, oh, my lip, like your lips are cracked or chapped.
No, it was really good. Chopstick. I guess I could have said like, what did the duck say at the bar?
That's good.
Or at dinner.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah.
I like that.
I didn't make it up. Shout out to whoever made that up.
Yeah. I tried to make mine up, but it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So I got a few of them because I missed quite a few weeks. So for those of you who missed out on dad jokes, you better get ready. Here we go, real quick. What did the horse say after it tripped? What did the horse say after it tripped? 5 seconds. It's so stupid.
My neck hurts.
That's good. But it's not it. What? That's good. Wow, we're making some good answers. Help, I've fallen and I can't giddy up. All right, so that's my bad one for the day. That's my bad one. You know I have to give you one bad one just to make sure you're listening. All right, don't click out of the video yet. All right, I got one or two more. What do you call a shoe made of banana peels?
Do you guys hear him snoring?
Kind of snoring. He hates my jokes.
A shoe made out of banana peels.
Yeah.
What?
Slippers.
I definitely should have got that
Yeah,
one. I didn't think about it long though.
Slippers. Okay, cool. All right, I got one more. Right. How come I gotta ask this right. How come big cats don't like to play poker with all the other animals in the jungle?
How come big cats don't like to play poker with all the other animals in the jungle?
Yeah. Well, how come big cats don't like to play poker with all the other cats in the jungle?
With all the other animals or all the other cats?
Let's assume they can be animals and cats.
Okay.
There's cats within the other animals.
But why don't big cats like to play poker?
I added that just to give you a hint. 5 seconds. 3, 2. Come on, it's a layup, Toya. They cheaters. They all some cheaters. They cheaters. They cheaters.
See, that's not fair because big cats could be so many other. Okay, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good one.
So make sure y'all write in the comments how I did for my first dad joke as a father, as a dad.
He said
it was trash.
Not good.
But I'm gonna work on that. But with that being said, we hope you enjoyed the episode today. Be sure to subscribe to our Juice and Toya podcast YouTube channel. Again, like we mentioned before, we are over 10,000. I think we're over 12,000 subscribers.
Yes, we are.
So
shout out to all of you.
We appreciate all the support, and you can listen to these. I know
he said thank you.
He said thank you, and you can listen to our podcast on wherever you listen to podcasts: Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you like to listen to it. But with that being said, we hope you enjoyed this podcast today. Be sure to subscribe to our main channel. We're dropping some brand new workouts and content. We're so excited for. But we got to get out of here because Jakai is hungry. I know that sound. I know that sound. So with that being said, we appreciate you for joining us for another video.
And we will see you all at the next one.
Whenever